According to McKinsey report back in 2025, 88% of organizations are using AI on a daily basis. But from the MIT project Nanda, back again in 2025, only 5% of these use cases create really valuable business solutions, and all the rest is just a waste of money.
Right now, everybody has an opinion about the AI bubble. Ed Zitron says the whole thing collapsed the moment the spending stops. And Gary Marcus says the models are fundamentally broken. At the same time, we have too many predictions for the future where we cannot be totally sure. And I watched all of those videos as you, but none of them say about an actual market study. I run this study and I have collected all my findings.
Hey everyone, I'm Dimitris, founder of 3 Nuggets, and I run a tiny research about the AI adoption, trying to figure out how people are using in their business AI on a daily basis, trying to build and develop valuable things for their own practice, which are the problems they try to solve, and also what is the actual impact for their business. Let's get started with the research I ran. So, first of all, this is just a research using Claude research function, where I didn't run it to execute a full investigation, but instead I asked it to scan the whole internet and find from credible resources their reports. So it collected information from McKinsey report, Stanford High AI Index, US Kansas BTOS, Menlo Ventures, MIT Project Nanda, Mentor, Deloitte, KPMG, Anthropic Economics Index, and other like Goldman Sachs, Klarna, and OpenAI announcements, GitHub Octoverse 2025, and other vendors for these reports. And my goal was to collect their own findings in one report place, so it will help me to make my own conclusions.
So before we get into the data, there are two numbers I have to give you because it changed how I read everything. The first one is about that 88%. The number comes from McKinsey, and the question they asked their audience was, does your organization use AI in at least one function? One person in one department using ChatGPT once, that company counts as a yes. At the same time, the US Census asked a different question. Did this firm use AI to produce goods or services? 1.2 million companies, a government agency, and their answer is 70 to 20%. So both are true. Self-reported adoption runs 2 to 4 times higher than anything actually measured. Keep that in mind for every number in this video and any other video you may watch about this topic. The second one is the bubble question itself. The thing that historically defines a bubble is capital expenditure as a share of the economy. Post-technology booms run at 1.5% of US GDP and above. AI right now, according to Goldman Sachs, is about 0.8%, roughly half. So from my perspective, this is not a bubble. It's a measurement failure, and those two problems need completely different solutions.
So let's see what we can have here. At the first layer, we see that year by year from 2023, which was the year where we have the huge pivot of AI adoption, we see that on a yearly base, the adoption of AI increases with high rates, more than 10% every single year. For 2026, we don't have enough data, so hopefully at the end of the year, we're gonna run again the same research to include also the adoption for 2026. But let's focus here for the previous years so far, because it's quite interesting how companies who give us these tools try to help us to adopt AI for our own businesses. The most interesting and most exciting thing for me is that we started talking about billions of budgets invested in AI technology and not only for millions, something we used to have over the past years for other technological innovations. So over 2025, we counted 37 billions of spends, where 19 of billions were in applications and 18 billions were in infrastructure. What's very important to be mentioned here is that only for coding, we spent $4 billion, which is up from almost $500,000 in 2024. So just for coding, we've increased the numbers dramatically. Let's come here on how we see these data. Back in 2023, the whole market was using 1.7 billions, but now we count 37 billions. In this report, we separated the build vs buy for AI. What's the difference between those two meanings? When we talk about build for AI, is all the spend we do for applications like Cursor, Supabase, or any other tool in the market, we have to use in order to build a product that includes AI operations. And the final AI operations are counted under the buy spend. So we separate what we use, what we spend for building with AI against to operating with AI, let's say. From the report, we saw that back in 2024, we had 47% in build budget, while this budget decreased to 2024 of the annual budget in 2025, while the whole budget spent increased. And the same year, the buy for AI has moved from 53% to 76%, which is, for me, a great signal that all the tools that are AI first, helping people to build with AI, have a market advantage here. So tools like Cursor, Supabase, Zapier have the market opportunity to grow even greater. And as we see later on in this report, these are the tools that are gaining most of the trend of growth. In this report, we also tracked the failures against the success in use cases. Truth be told that many cases, people try to build things, but in most of the cases, the projects are failing. This is not about the model quality, according to the research, but it's mostly about what is blocking us. People without coding experience, for example, get into the coding world trying to build things. And we have the lack of knowledge at this level. And when they hit the wall, they're not able to guide the model how to solve the problems. And another important thing is that we realize that the available data we have are not in high quality to help us go and continue our buildings. Also, the available AI budget per department in big companies is not helpful for building upfront tools, but instead, most of the budget goes for sales and marketing, which can produce immediate return on investments. While we could have automations or even solutions that could help the team to work more smoothly and more efficiently, let's say.
And the report answers what actually works instead. When companies build these things with their internal IT team alone, about 22% of those projects succeeded. When they build with a blend, their own people, plus outside help, it goes to 67%. It's the same technology, the same budget, 3 times the success rate, and the only variable is who is in the room. For me, it's the most useful number in this whole research.
It's very important, the impact of AI into coding. According to Metro, they ran a nice investigation collecting a report from coders. The truth is that coders felt that they were 20% faster, but actually they were 19% slower, and this is an unorthodox thing. Why that happened? From my perspective, I see it also to myself. I do not deliver faster my work. The thing is that I deliver more work at a time, but not faster. And working with AI in order to deliver things, the truth is that I work asynchronously and without being connected with my colleagues. So I have the plenty of time to feel for myself that I'm moving faster, because people think that when we get into meetings and brainstormings, we create delays on the project. But these delays are for making decisions that help us to speed up the development process because we have more clear direction on the project. So we don't have back and forth. Because this 90% of delay came from back and forth in most of the cases. Or at least this is my personal conclusion, translating the meaning of these numbers. Now, let's moving into where the money goes and where it comes back. In this section, we can see where most of the money are spent by domain. Without surprising me, software and coding is the king of the money spent. And the second champion here is the customer service, where I have tons of concerns about customer service. And we have a use case later in the video about the impact in the customer service. What was surprising to me was the budget spent in legal and HR recruitment, where we could see higher positions since legal departments and HR recruiters prefer to speed up their workflows with AI, but they have tons of concerns. And I would expect these numbers to be higher because they need to speed it up their operations. They invest the time in doing that. I say that because I've already worked with a legal department for a big company, and we built a big tool for them running deterministic operations for them. But the thing is that they don't accept any risk of hallucination, and mostly they don't accept any risk of making things wrong. And that's the problem with LLMs. That's why we also avoid them. In healthcare, it's quite interesting also that we have great big percentage of using AI. And from my experience so far, most of the budgets are not in making conclusions. Coming back in the customer support concerns, let's take the advantage of the Klarna example. Back in 2024, Klarna announced that they built an AI assistant who could handle 2.3 conversations, and they achieved to have from 11 minutes to under 2 minutes average length of conversations, with saving money for the company up to 40 million. However, in May 2025, CEO of the company announced in Bloomberg that all of this money saved had no sense to them because of the quality of customer support had dropped. So the company, started firing people back in 2024, started hiring them back again into a hybrid model. And here is my point about the customer support. I work in multiple customer support. Most of them are in applications like retail and 11 labs for phone call centers. And the truth is that, yes, we can optimize the cost of these phone call centers, but that's the point where the brand can connect with their customers. When we bring a bot, the first expression for the people is that I don't like to talk with a bot. We still count bots as stupid. And from my personal experience, this is how I count it too. While in customer support, we have the opportunity to build a real relationship and real brand. Take the actual stories from Roy Sutherland, for example, who emphasizes about the customer experience. And his major advice to every company in the world is to put 1/3 of your marketing budget into customer support and to after-sales support, and you will see incredible results after the next month. So when we replace this cost with AI investment, I think we're just losing money. Something important about all of this huge adoption of AI. Big companies like Anthropic, who is the leader of the market at the moment at least, announced multiple different tools over the time. The most innovative thing was AI agents, the skill for agents, and the model context protocol, well known as MCP. All of these tools help us to get into adoption of AI, helping us without having strong experience with tech, with coding, to go and build things, automating workflows, saving us time. But the truth is that all of these tools, which are published from everybody in the world, because everybody can announce an MCP server or an AI agent, they don't meet security standards. That's why we started having security troubles. And what is interesting though is the enterprise security, the research from Microsoft. We can find it in Microsoft Security blog back in February 10 for 2026. Microsoft found that over 80% of Fortune 500 run active AI agents, but only 47% of these organizations have implemented specific security controls over them, which means that almost half of them are running on security risks. And that's a big alarm for us, because I can tell you that when we build an AI agent, we give it access to sensitive information. And from my experience working with another company for building an AI agent to help in saving a big bottleneck on their operations, when I had a conversation with the AI officer of the company, he said that I don't want to touch this thing, anything without my permission. And the security standard was very high and was quite hard for us to go and build this level. But that was a very great use case. So we replaced, number one, all LLMs, making the entire system 100% deterministic. And secondly, we guarantee that we don't feed into this process anything that is sensitive. And also, because we replaced the LLM work with our own piece of coding in Python, in JavaScript that runs in our own servers, actually that was an internal tool without accessing any API calls. It was an internal tool, 100% secure. But this direction helped us to save actually the risk. Look at these numbers. We have in the report, the sneak report, that scan all the skills available in GlowHub and Skills S8, well-known website for finding skills, where 36.8% of them had at least one security flaw, and 13.4% had critical problems, while 76 of them confirmed as malicious payload, which is enough in this amount of almost 4,000 skills in one website to kill our local machine or even drop sensitive data to places we wouldn't like to have them.
One thing about agents, and this one matters when you are buying. Out of everything enterprises are calling an AI agent, only about 16% actually qualifies. Something that plans, executes, looks at the results and adapts. The rest, in the report's own words, is basic if-then logic with some API calls on a model. And Gartner looked at the thousands of vendors describing themselves as agentic. They reckon about 130 of them are real.
Now, having an overview about the big vendors of LLMs, long language models, we see that while OpenAI was the company who created huge hype back in 2023, we see that Anthropic is the company that grows steadily over the years. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this report does not include information about 2026, and what I see so far in 2026 is that Chinese models are becoming very good and very valuable in their work. I really love using them. They're pretty good in understanding things and correcting things, but still Anthropic for me is the most preferred tool to go and create things for myself. Now let's go back to the tools we have to use in order to build for AI. Here are some listed companies like Supabase, Cursor, Lovable, Replit, Vercel, N8N, Zapier, Databricks, Snowflake, Pinecone, Hugging Face, and Waviate. All of these platforms are platforms well known in AI domain that we have to use them in order to build something with and for AI. What's interesting here is that the vector databases do not show that big growth against to the other tools like Zapier, N8N, and Lovable. And I think, from my perspective, I may be wrong, but I think that this is because that the builders who are right now in the market and they build, they just want to meet their expectations of the final development. And tools like Zapier, for example, make it very easy to help you go that level where you can build and solve the problem you have in seconds. Pinecone is a vector database that can be used for storing vectors of your documents, making it as a database very helpful for AI. But most of the people who are building things are not very familiar with these or even with graph databases. So they still prefer storing their database in column-based format like Databricks or MongoDB. But I think that over the next years, where we have the agentic work growing and taking more advantage of the market, these kind of tools will be in growth rates similarly like Zapier, for example. This part of the adoption is coming from the end users' education and experience in building things with AI and for AI. Now, let's see how we consume these tokens. We spend all of these billions over the years. According to Anthropic Economic Index, we see that most of the tokens are spent through API at the enterprise traffic. Most of them are also for automations, patterns, and augmentation, while 50% of the tokens go into Cloud AI, consumer, and into daily tasks like make me a draft email, invoice processing, creating documents, calendar scheduling, these tiny daily tasks for everybody. What is interesting though is that where do we use all of these tokens in our daily practice? The thing is that the interesting thing is that in 93% of conversations produce in artifacts, We have explanations, documents, reports, guidance. Marketing content is the most important one at the moment. We still see blogs and articles written with AI, and I have some concerns here about writing with AI only here, because search machines and even AI search can detect the AI generated content, and usually they ignore it. Now, moving to the final section of the research, we see the comparison between the investigations we used to create this report. While the statistics look like opposites and having points against each other, if we get into deeper details, and this is what this section is covering, we see that all of these researches are agreeing with each other. The major difference is the audience have been used for generating the outcomes. Now, for my conclusion is that how can we use all of this information in our daily practice? And here is what I will do. I will get into my digital brain list inside BrainGraph, and I will create a new digital brain specifically for market researchers. And I will feed this URL as a knowledge. So whenever I'm going and building with AI, I will include these findings, and I can also use them into my marketing operations. I will give it a nice icon, market research. I won't give it any description. I know it from the title. So let's see what we have. All right, let's fill it, web page. And now all of this knowledge from this research will come inside my digital brain, the brain I named Market Research. And after the analysis is completed, I can use it through my MCP server and my AI agents into my workflows. So that's it. That was a research I ran by myself for the AI adaptation over the time, which are the risks, and the purpose was not to guide any message, but mostly to recognize where the market goes and which are the opportunities. So, as in all cases, when we have this kind of research, the conclusions must be yours. See you in the next one.